Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar on Tripleseat Direct. Today we're going to go over what the front end of Tripleseat Direct is going to look like, and then we're going to walk you through each of the settings on the back end to best set your Tripleseat Direct form up for success.
Want to point out to start that Tripleseat Direct is only able to be utilized by accounts that have an online payment integration with either Stripe or Card Connect. A really important component of Tripleseat Direct is taking your customer's credit card information securely through Stripe or Card Connect to have a hold on your calendar. So if you don't already have an online payment integration, your customer admin would just want to go into settings and under payments, click on online payments. And here you can add an online payment account with either Card Connect or Stripe. And again, any questions on that, just reach out to our support team. So let's just kind of go over what original Tripleseat or the Tripleseat lead form is versus Tripleseat Direct. So that lead form we were just looking at a moment ago is Tripleseat as you've known it up until this point. So it's an inquiry form that you add to your site so that your guests can come to your website and fill out an inquiry for a specific day and time. So this inquiry the guest has filled out is for September 30th from 6 to 8. They're able to enter in, what the nature of the event is. They can choose a location. They can choose an event style. They can put in their their contact information. And then when they hit submit, this comes through to you guys as a lead. And as a just gentle reminder, leads are not showing on the calendar yet. They're not assigned a room. There are no menu selections. It really just is an inquiry for you to click on from your dashboard. And now you can, respond to the customer via discussion. Whenever you're ready to add this to the calendar, you can convert the lead, and then you can, create a set of documents, adding menu selections, all that good stuff. What's new with Tripleseat Direct is that your guests are going to be able to directly book an event with you. And for on-premise events, they can choose the room that they want their event to be in. And then what's really great about Tripleseat Direct is they're able to choose their own menu selections. They're also going to be able to enter in their personal information as well as a credit card on file to secure that event. Once they submit this inquiry, all you need to do as the event manager is either hit accept or reject. And then if you reject it, it gets moved to a lost event and the customer is automatically notified. But if you hit accept, it's added to the calendar directly as a definite event, and then a set of documents will be created for you. So that summary sounds all good and dandy, but let's see what this looks like in action. So this is what the landing page of Tripleseat Direct is going to look like. So once you have configured your Tripleseat Direct settings, you're going to add the setup codes for this form to your site. So you or your web developer would do that. And then your customer would be able to click on a button on your site and be brought to this page. So the first page allows them to choose their desired event style. You can offer all four, or you could just say, for this form, we're only going to be offering on-premise events. And in that instance, they wouldn't need to make the selection. It would just automatically know that it was for an on-premise event. If you choose full service or drop-off catering, the next page will prompt the customer to type in the address for that off-premise event. If I were to choose pickup catering, I would only need to indicate a time. But if I choose on-premise event, now as the customer, I'm prompted to select what room I'd like this event in. And you'll see here with the parentheses that each one of these rooms can have a maximum guest count. And you also have the ability to set a minimum guest count. We'll go in the main dining room, see that there's a minimum guest count of 10. So I couldn't submit this for 6 people. And I would not be able to go past the maximum. Choose a date. Depending on what date you choose, available times will now populate. And these are all things, you know, what's able to be selected here is something that you are in 100% control of. And Allie will go over how to limit these when we go over settings later.
Yes, and we can limit rooms as well. I just saw a question come through about that.
Oh, yes. Yep. So these are not all of the rooms at this venue. You're able to actually, you can indicate per each Tripleseat Direct form what rooms should show. And then when they click next, now any available menus that have been added to this form are going to show. So at the top here, you can see we have 2 different menus. We have Millie's dinner options and then a la carte options. Let's say we want to have a few chicken flatbreads on this event. I'm just going to click on it. And with menu items, you're able to indicate the quantity, so how many we should have. I'm going to say 100. And within Tripleseat Direct options, you're also able to offer what are called packages. So if I were to select Millie's $70 dinner package, packages, otherwise known as like prefix menus, they allow for some selections from different courses. So here I'm able to choose an appetizer. And you see when I chose Caesar salad, up popped the option to add on meat. So this doesn't show by default. This is something you configure in your settings, but you do have the option to have them make selections within the courses. And because there is an additional price for steak on this salad, they would indicate how many of each they'd like. So I'm going to say I'd have 20 steaks and 40 chickens. And now that we've entered in 20, that $8 multiplied by 20, and they can see that they'll be adding an additional $160 for that steak add-on. And then the entrees allow us to choose between 1 to 3 options. So they are able to indicate how many of each that they'd like. And dessert is just 1. And it's going to, the quantity can populate off of the guest count. So we entered 60 as our guest count before. It automatically calculated off of 60 packages, but I can manually override that here if I needed to. Add 60 of these packages. Great. And I also wanted to show, like you can see with this chicken parm item, you're able to offer, well, first you're able to add photos onto your menu items, but you're also able to offer choices or modifiers when it comes to the individual items. So this chicken parm item comes with a choice of pasta, and they can choose up to 2 options and then indicate how many of each they would like. And as always, you know, if they chose ziti, there was that upcharge of $2. You're able to add an upcharge on any of the choices. As I'm choosing these options or more items, you're going to see a nice little breakdown of the prices and charges to the right. And then you can add some disclaimers below. So our disclaimer is that these prices do not include room rental fees. And of course, you know, the consuming undercooked meats note that we always need there. Clicking next now, this is where the customer will put their personal information. So they'll say what type of event this is going to be. They'll put their contact information and email. Whoops. And then they only have to put an email or a phone number, just one method of communication. If they work for a company, they can put that there. And then the most important, proving they're not a robot. And then they get another breakdown of what they've selected over on the right. When they click add payment, you now have the opportunity to have your guests sign off on terms and conditions. So this just says we're going to incur a $200 cancellation fee if we don't cancel before 24 hours before the event. So they can either hit accept or decline. Decline won't move them forward, only accept will. And now here's where they would enter in their credit card information. So this is where that integration with Stripe or Card Connect comes into play. It's super important because there's no other way for them to secure the event. So they would put in, their credit card information here. You have the opportunity to allow them to select gratuity on this form. So this isn't standard. You have the opportunity to hide this as well. But if you'd like, your customer can select from this radio buttons, or they can enter in a custom percentage or flat amount and click I agree. And then when they click place order, they're going to get an automatic email letting them know that the order did go through. And you can configure what message is sent out to them. Typically it would say, please allow 24 hours for us to confirm or deny this event. So once it's submitted, you're going to see any Tripleseat Direct inquiries on your dashboard, but it's not going to be under new leads. Like we talked about before, the leads don't show on the calendar, and they don't have menu selections or room selection. These inquiries are going to show under new Tripleseat Direct events. And from the dashboard, I have quick options to accept or reject from right here. But I could also click into the inquiry before I do, decide to accept or reject it. Looks really similar to events in Tripleseat as we know them. You have the discussion tab where we can reach out to the guest or our staff. There's a tasks tab, notes, there's an activity log. But what's new is that automatically, before we did anything, a set of documents has already been created. And that's based off of those menu selections that the customer made. If I were to reject this inquiry, it would automatically move to a lost event and it wouldn't show on the calendar. But if I click accept, a message comes up, or a box comes up for us to run the card on file for the deposit amount. And the event is automatically in definite status. So typically that means that this event now has a hold on the calendar for any of those on-premise events. If I needed to make any changes to the menu selections, if I needed to adjust what the customer added based on a conversation we had, or if I needed to just add a new item, you're now going to see this new menu selections tab. And here to the right, you're able to edit, delete, or at the top, you can add any additional items. And when you click add item, what shows are the existing Tripleseat Direct menu items and packages for you to select from. If you needed to add any notes to the event, like setup notes or special instructions that you'd like showing on the documents, as always, just click into the Tripleseat Direct template right from the Docs tab, and you can head in there to add to any of the special instructions or setup notes. You would also come in here to adjust the billing widget. So if you needed to adjust any of the taxes or fees, or adjust that deposit amount, you can do so here from within the documents. All right, so admins, I wanted to point out, admins will automatically be able to see this new menu selections tab, but you just want to make sure that any other user roles that are going to be working on Tripleseat Direct events have their access adjusted so that they're able to see this tab as well. So within settings, customer admins can click into user roles, and on any of the roles that need it, just click on in. And now there's this new menu selections area. You can give them the access to either view or edit, meaning add, edit, delete. All right, so.
Maybe point out my profile too.
Oh yes, and then to see that menu selections tab, if you're hearing from your users that they're not able to you adjusted that access, but they're not able to see the tab on their events, that's actually a setting that's within the profile settings. So I'm logged in, as you can see at the top left here, it says Mary Trainer. So if I clicked on Mary Trainer's name, here at the bottom, these are the tabs that each individual user can see. So you just want to make sure that menu selections is checked off, and you can actually drag and drop the order if you'd like to see it maybe next to documents or ahead of anything else. So now that I did that on my event, now we have the menu selections tab showing next to documents instead of all the way at the end. All right, so now that we've looked at the front end capabilities of Tripleseat Direct, we want to have Allie take us through the important settings that you need to set up before you have this go live on your site. So there is a bit of customization. You want to go in and limit when customers are able to directly book with you, what menus they can see, and what specific details you want on each form. So
yes, and I saw some questions come in about the settings, so hopefully this will help clarify any questions that have come in so far. So let's go ahead and start with our configuration settings. So in your settings page, you're going to see a section labeled Tripleseat Direct. So this is the section where you're going to set, your basic guidelines and rules for your site to follow for Tripleseat Direct. Something I'd like to note, any setting that is adjusted on this page, it will update the settings for all locations within your group that are utilizing Tripleseat Direct. So that is just something to keep in mind. So typically, we recommend starting within the configure tab and then kind of, go off of that and work from there. Just know that you are able to come back in at any time and adjust any of these settings. So within this first tab, the first step typically is to set the parameters for your event durations. So this is broken out by event style. So for on-premise events and for full service catering. So if you want your guests using Tripleseat Direct to secure an event for a minimum of, let's say, 2 hours, you'll want to enter that in the drop down on the left. And if you want to make sure that your guests can book an event for, let's say a maximum of only 4 hours at your venue, that's where you'll want to adjust the time on the right. So in this case, saving these event durations for millies will allow my guests to book events between 2 hours and 4 hours. And I said millies, but this is for the entire group, I should say. So
I was just going to show it on like the front end where that comes into play.
Yeah, excellent.
So event duration limits, depending on the type of, and of course I chose pickup, which is the only one without. The event duration limits, based on the type of event they choose. So the start time is 10. Of course, let's see. Right, so they wouldn't be able to book for under 2 hours. There's no option for 4:30 to 5:30. So a minimum of 2 hours and a maximum of 4 for on-premise, and then you can set different duration limits for the full service catered events. Of course, pick up and drop off are not, it's not a time span of event. It's just a time they would pick up or drop off.
Excellent.
Back to you, Allie.
Our next section, we have lead time limits. So this is where you can indicate how far in advance someone can schedule an event with you using Tripleseat Direct. So this is managed in days, and this is broken out per event style. So if you and your team need a minimum of 7 days to confirm your event and make any charges, you can go ahead and set that on the left-hand side. Now, something to note is the system will count today as an additional day. So you'll actually want to set this minimum for 8 days if you need a week in advance. Same sort of thing goes for the maximum number of days. So, if I only want my guest booking for up to 6 months out, I could enter in 180 days on the right-hand side.
These are really important, right? Because you don't want someone coming in and saying, "Great, I'll pick up in 20 minutes." Like you want some sort of minimum in here so that you're not and maybe you do want, pickup's probably a bad example there, but you don't want someone saying, okay, I'd love a full service catered event tomorrow. So you definitely want to make sure you have an appropriate minimum in there, but also to the same tune, you don't want someone booking 5 years from now. So having a maximum is pretty important as well.
Correct. So once you have your parameters and your lead time limits set, next step is to set your billing details. So you'll want to check off whatever billing details should apply to your documents that are automatically created once you accept that Tripleseat Direct event. So this also is based per event style. So you just will want to go ahead and check off whichever billing details apply to each specific event style. And of course, the system will automatically read and know which billing details to apply depending on which type of event is coming into your dashboard.
So maybe you have like a delivery fee and that shouldn't be applied to the other event styles, but you could check it off just for drop-off catering.
Then you want to set a deposit, of course. So this can be either a percentage or a flat fee of the grand total. So of course, it's super important to set a deposit for your Tripleseat Direct events. That way, it's solidifying the event on the calendar for both you and your guest. So as a best practice, set it to anything greater than 0.
And then when those documents are automatically created, you kind of saw me go into the billing widget on the event, but then automatically we had that deposit payment created for 25%. Just saving you some work.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about blackout dates. So of course, you probably have dates on your calendar that you do not want any events taking place. Typically, we use blackout dates for holidays or one-off days that your venue is going to be closed. So all you'll need to do is check off the days that you want to block from the calendar from being booked. So Lauren has selected Thanksgiving. You can see all the other dates that we have selected are previewed in gray. So those are the dates that are going to be blocked on the calendar. And then as always, you'll just want to click save so those stick.
Let's see, 7/23 was the last one. Oh, well. Let's just wanted to show that in action. So now that we've saved those settings, the 25th is unavailable for booking. But like Ali said, it should only really just be holidays or one-off days that every venue under your account is closed. If you guys are closed on Wednesdays, for instance, you don't want to come through and block out every Wednesday. That's a lot of work on your end. Instead of setting those as blackout dates, you would go into hours. So at the top, we can navigate through the tabs, and clicking on hours is where you can set your availability, which Allie's going to tell us about.
Yeah, so if you have more than one location using Tripleseat Direct, you'll select from the drop-down. So now we can see the hours that Millie's should be available to book. And this is per day of the week. So you can set your hours of availability per day. And as you can see for Friday and Saturday, we have the availability to, set a couple different blocks of time. So typically, like in the instance that you would close after lunch and then reopen for dinner, Fridays and Saturdays, we know that we can't accept any orders from 5 to 6. You have the ability to copy over the days, or the times I should say, to the specific days that are needed. And again, you can come in and adjust these hours at any time. And then as always, definitely click save. So blackout dates and hours are a great way to limit the availability for your customer on your Tripleseat Direct form. But something to keep in mind is that both are set for the entire venue. So if you need to block a specific room or you need to block a specific event style for Tripleseat Direct, we recommend that you use a calendar note to do so.
So just to reiterate, this is what the availability here is, just every event style at Millie's Restaurant. So it's saying, for Monday, you can book full service catered, on-premise, pickup and delivery events from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So let's go over how you would use a calendar note to block availability for just one event style instead of all four.
Yes. So if you don't already know, you can find the calendar notes by clicking the little speech bubble on the top left of any day on the calendar view. Perfect. So let's create a note. Let's give this note a name. Let's do no pickup orders. Perfect. So we want to block just the pickup orders for, let's do the 5th. Let's do from 5 to 10 p.m. So when it comes to a calendar note, you have the option to either block the entire day, you can block off multiple days, or as Lauren's showing you here, you can block just a specific time. So we want to block any pickup orders from being received on October 5th from 5 to 10 p.m. We also want to check off prevent bookings for the duration of this note, of course. So, we're not able to book anything or submit an inquiry for pickup catering. And Lauren has gone ahead and just checked off pickup catering on the right-hand side. So to reiterate, you can add a calendar note for just a specific event style.
And a calendar note is just another way of saying this is a hold on the calendar without having to make an event. So it's a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, on the 5th, there's no pickup orders from 5 to 10, but maybe every day we don't want to accept orders after 9. So the availability on the calendar says you can directly book from, I think it was 10 to 10 maybe. But we don't want to accept those late pickup orders. That's really just to account for the full service or on-premise events. So we could set a block for pickup orders from 9 to 10 each night. Prevent bookings is checked off, and then we can have notes repeat so that we don't have to add a million on here.
Yes, and you can have the note repeat as long as needed. So we could set this essentially out to end on, September 2030, just so we don't have to keep coming in and adjusting the dates, creating new calendar notes. So that's a pretty awesome feature. And now the system is just going to know to repeat that note every day and for years.
Yeah. And the options, we did it daily, but you can have it weekly, monthly, yearly, have it repeat every other. So you can really get in there and customize those calendar note details.
Perfect. All right. Hopefully everybody's feeling good about Tripleseat Direct so far. So now let's get into menus.
Yes. And I think I have, front end open.
Perfect. So of course your guests are able to select their own menu selections from the Tripleseat Direct form, as Lauren showed you when we did demo the front end. So you are able to limit which menus are available per form, but of course you need to add your menus and your items to your Tripleseat Direct settings. So if you just want to go to settings real quick to show them those tabs.
Do you want menu items first?
Yes, perfect. So when you're in your Tripleseat Direct settings, you're going to see 3 tabs pertaining to your menus: your items, your packages, and of course your menus. So let's define those real quick, just to reiterate what everything actually means. So a menu is the full list of options that your customer will be able to choose from. So our menu options here are Millie's dinner options and the a la carte options. Your menu items are the individual items that are selectable by your guest on the form. So barbecue chicken flatbread, perfect example of an individual item where they could just click on it, pop in the quantity, and then click save. A package, I'm sorry. I want to note that menu items are priced per item, and they're most commonly used on an a la carte menu. So packages are used when you want your customer to, choose different selections from different sections, as we're seeing here with the Millie's $70 dinner package, where your guest has to choose an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert. So when your customer makes these selections, they'll see any of those modifiers, again, with any of the upcharges, which we'll get into in a moment. But packages are priced per person. And once, okay, yeah, we can just go back into settings.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So now let's show you where you would go to actually add these menu options. So starting with the items, of course, if you need to add a new item, you would click the new item button on the right, but we're going to click into an existing menu item as an example today. So go ahead and click into that chicken parm. Perfect. So each item needs a name, it needs a price, and you need to assign it a menu item category, of course. I do want to point out that you can check off price per person if this item's quantity should autofill from the guest count that was entered on the Tripleseat Direct form. You also have the ability to add a photo within the public description. Very exciting. If you need any assistance with that, you can reach out to the support team. Super simple to add photos though. So you also have the option to add internal and public descriptions. And at the bottom, you can disable this menu item at any time. So, if you ever wanted to remove it for a seasonal menu for a couple months and then add it back, you do have the ability to do so. So on the right-hand side, you're going to see a list of locations where this item should be available. Of course, we only have Millie's in this example today, but so if you have more than one location that's using Tripleseat Direct, you would just go ahead and check off which locations this item should be available at. And the chicken parm is a great example because typically we want to offer our guests a choice of pasta with this item. So if you have any choices that you'd like to offer your guest, you would just click into modifier groups. So notice here how our modifier group is, or modifier is the pasta option. And then listed below, we have 4 different pasta options. So now when our customer is filling out that Tripleseat Direct form and they choose chicken parm, they'll have the option to select which pasta they'd like to include. And then we can see again that the ZD has a $2 upcharge. So important to note that you do have the ability to add an upcharge on a modifier.
And with that, it's just when you're adding the specific modifier. So once we add the modifier group of pasta option, you can see in blue to the right, you have the ability to add modifiers, which also known as just choices. When you're adding the modifier, you give it a name, so ZD, and then here you can indicate what an additional price should be. It can just be blank if there shouldn't be any additional price. Yeah, that's how you would add those individual upcharges.
Cool. So let's take a look at a package now. It's going to look very similar to an item, but you would just go click into the packages tab, which is right next to the items tab. Of course, you would want to select new package on the right-hand side, but let's click into that $70 dinner package that we've been using for this webinar. Same as the item, you need to give your package a name, a price, and a menu item category. Just as a reminder, packages are priced per person and are commonly used with prefix menus. So you can check off price per person again here if you want this package quantity to autofill from the guest count that was entered on the form. You can enter in that public description again, that internal description, and you can also disable any packages at any time as well. So to add choices to your packages, let's click into the Item Groups tab. So here our groups are appetizers, entree, and dessert. So within our groups, we have our individual items or your choices that your customer can select from. If needed, those choices can have their own additional add-ons or modifiers. So a good example is the Caesar salad. And then we have 2 different options to add on a protein.
And it's the same as the modifiers before. You can edit each choice. and decide if there's going to be an additional cost. So for the chicken, there isn't, but for the steak, there is. And if you needed to add any additional choices to the appetizers, you just go to the right of the group and click Add Item. And then within the items, you can add their own modifier groups or additional selections like the add-ons.
Perfect. Yes, so very customizable when it comes to the menus. So now that we've taken a look at adding both menu items and packages, our last step for menu items are to add it to an actual menu so your guest has something to select it from. So clicking on the Menus tab, same as the other tabs, if you'd like to add a new menu, select that button on the right-hand side. Lauren, go ahead and click into Millie's dinner options. Excellent. Each menu needs a name, and you need to check off which event styles pertain to this menu. On the right-hand side, of course, you will want to check off the location where this menu should be available at. And then clicking into items and packages, this is where you add your individual items or any packages to this menu. You can see here we have a mix of both. We have the dinner packages and some of the a la carte items as well. And pretty simple to do so. Just at the bottom, you would either select add items or add packages, and then you'll be good to go.
So then what that looks like on the front end is the following. So this is the Millie's dinner option, or sorry, this, yeah, the, what did I have? Millie's, sorry, I forgot which one I clicked into. Millie's dinner options looks like this in settings, but then on the front end for the customer, it looks like this, where everything is laid out for them to select.
Perfect. So the last section that we're going to cover is the actual Tripleseat Direct form. So now that we have configured all the rest of our settings, we have our menus good to go. We're going to click into that Forms tab. So this is the page that's going to be on your site where your customers are going to actually book these events.
This page.
Yes.
This is the form.
This is the form. And you can have as many forms as you need depending on where you're placing these forms, whether it be like on your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook, whatever the case may be. So let's click into an existing form.
But if you need to add a new one.
Yes, but if you need to add a new form, select the button on the top right. So I just want to go through the sections within the Tripleseat Direct form. It looks very similar to your regular lead form, but we do have some differences. So each form needs a name, which could just be your location name as shown in this example here, or it could be, you know, holiday 2022, whatever you'd like. So something important to point out on the right-hand side, when you're checking off the location where you want your form to be available at, you're going to see that little plus sign in that box to the left. If we click that, we can narrow down the rooms that we want to be available per form. So we just unchecked the patio. We do not want our patio to be an available room to book on this particular form. So we just, you know, remove the check from that. So just know that you are able to narrow down specific rooms that you want available per form.
And you can change it at any time. Like 2 weeks from now, we want to open the patio back up. We can just come back in and check that off.
Yeah, any settings within Tripleseat Direct can be updated at any time. And then you want to check off whichever event styles you want allowed on the form. If I only had on-premise checked off, I think Lauren might have mentioned this earlier, but when my guests went to pull up this particular lead form, they wouldn't even see the option of full service pickup or drop-off catering. It would just, you know, automatically take them to that next step to book an on-premise event. The next section we have is branding. So this is where you can override the branding for your lead form. Otherwise, the branding is going to pull directly from your location settings as it would on your regular lead form or within your guest portal.
So you'd see like at the top here, this is our logo and this is the guest portal banner image. So by default, this would pull for us if it wasn't overridden on this page with a new banner or new logo.
Correct. But you can override that at any time. And, that would be great if you were making a holiday lead form and you wanted like specific holiday branding. You'll then select any menus that you want offered on this form, and you can rearrange the order by dragging and dropping from the arrow on the left-hand side. So anytime that you add a new menu, you need to remember to come into all of the forms where it needs to live and check that menu off. Otherwise, your customer will not see it, and of course, they will not be able to make any selections.
So if we had, when, Allie and I were just in menu settings, if we had just added that barbecue packages, that's great that we entered it into the system, but it doesn't really do anything unless we come into at least one active form and check it off.
No, you go. Underneath menus, we have documents. So this is where you can check off either the event order, the BEO, the invoice, or both. If these are checked off, those documents will automatically share to your guest as soon as you click accept on their inquiry that comes into your dashboard. So that just is totally dependent on you. If you want to automatically share the BEO or the invoice with your guest upon accepting their event, you would want to be sure to check those off.
Makes it easier on you. It's just one less step. So when they'll get like an automatic email that your event has been accepted. And with that automatic email, there'll be a link with their documents that reflect their own menu selections. So just kind of taking, less work off of you as the event manager, just less admin work in Tripleseat.
Mm-hmm. I think I saw a question come in about minimums earlier. So you do have the ability to set both guest count and food and bev minimums within this section here. So we have our minimum guest count required at 10 people. So if my guest submitted a form for 8 people, they would get an error message and they would not be able to make their submission. Same sort of idea with food and beverage minimums below. And as you can see, those are set per event style. One of our newer features to Tripleseat Direct, very exciting, is our Gratuity Selector. So you don't have to have this on your form. It's totally optional. You would, of course, just want to check off the Enable Gratuity Selector box. And then it looks the exact same as your regular Gratuity Selector that lives in your regular documents. So you can adjust the custom percentages. You can allow your guest to enter in their own option, either percentage or flat amount when they're filling out that submission form. You can have the gratuity apply automatically. And you can also require the gratuity to for your guests to select before they're able to submit. So if you had it required and your guest was trying to send in an inquiry without a gratuity selected, they would receive that error message and they would not be able to move forward. And you can adjust any of the verbiage on the left-hand side pertaining to your gratuity selector. And under the page setup field, this is where you can adjust some of the text that is displayed on your form. So things like disclaimers, terms and conditions, that little box that pops up after or right before they enter in their payment information, and the message displayed after they click submit. You can adjust that verbiage as well. If you had a different website that you wanted to send your guests to, like a custom thank you page, something along those lines, you could pop that in right here. If you want to require your bookings to expire after a certain amount of time, as shown here, 24 hours, enter in that number within this field. So if I have an inquiry that comes in and it has not been touched and it hits that 24-hour mark, it will expire and they will receive an automatic email letting them know that their booking has been rejected. Which brings me to the next section, the auto response email section. So you can customize the email that is sent to your guest as soon as they click submit. You can customize the email when your Tripleseat Direct booking is accepted and then when their booking is rejected. So you can customize all these different messages depending on what you want them to say. And then the last section that we have for the form are the notifications. So this is where you will select who should receive an email notification once a form has been submitted by your guest. Perfect. As always, remember to click Save at the bottom. So now that we've completely configured the settings and we feel comfortable with what our customers are able to select on the form, what you'll want to do is click the Setup Codes button on the right-hand side and give that hosted code to your web developer to add to your website. And then, of course, as a regular lead form acts, once that form is added to your site, your guest is going to see a Book Now button. And once they click that button, it's going to bring them to that Tripleseat Direct inquiry page where they can submit their inquiry for a booking.
And like I showed you guys in the lead form settings, the same deal goes with Tripleseat Direct forms. So to the right of any of the forms, you know, if we just customized Millie's form and we wanted to see what it looked like on the front end for the guest, just click on View Live Page and make sure, you know, the appropriate event styles are showing. Make sure they're able to select the times that you want them to be able to, and that the menus are showing the way that you'd like them to. So you're able to kind of take a look at what it looks like on the front end before you add it to your site and make it go live.
Awesome. So that about covers it for today. Lauren, I'll let you do a little wrap up.
Yeah, so just to clarify, or not clarify, but just to reiterate, you know, this is a great new feature. You definitely want to make sure you're comfortable with your configuration settings, your hours of availability, adding menus, items, and packages, and then customizing that form. So there are a few steps you need to take on your end before you have it go live on your site. But once you do, your guests will be able to get in there and start directly booking events with you guys. So if you have any questions or if you want to get started with Tripleseat Direct, please reach out to our support team by emailing them at support@tripleseat.com or by clicking on this help question button in the top right. If you go to have a question, you can contact our support team here, but you can also browse our frequently asked questions as well as our help videos. This is going to take you to our Tripleseat University YouTube page. Oh no, I was ready to hit pause and I hit play instead. If you click on playlist, there's actually an entire section devoted to Tripleseat Direct over on the right here. So these are all tutorial videos that kind of go over what Allie and I did today. They're just broken out by section. So definitely check that out. And you can subscribe to our YouTube page if you'd like. You'll just get notifications on any new videos and stay up to date with all the new features that Tripleseat will have to offer. And there are also plenty of existing webinars that you can check out on this page if you wanted to do a deeper dive into Tripleseat. Awesome. So I think we're, oh my goodness, we're
right on time here. Well,
cutting it close.
Yeah. Thank you everybody so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking some time to learn about Tripleseat Direct. We hope you're as excited as we are. Let us know how we can help. Reach out to support, and we're here to support you every step of the way.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good one.